Today we're back looking at some scary TikToks. I'm also filming this video at 10 PM, so it looks like I'm not going to be sleeping tonight.
Videos that make my skin crawl. This man stayed in a suite that he thought was a luxury suite, but what he finds hidden in the bathroom cupboard will make you never want to stay anywhere ever again.
What's it gonna be?
Cameras and Airbnbs were bad, but this just blows that out of the water. This man was staying at a resort, and his room was one of the nicer rooms available. He starts by showing us into the bathroom. Looks divine. A standalone bath surrounded by clouded glass walls. How perfectly soothing to relax in, right? Not quite. There were a few full-length cupboards in the bathroom, but what he finds in the second one makes me feel sick.
What's it gonna be? It's gonna be a doorway, isn't it? That is a door.
Trapdoor, but that's not the end of it.
Oh no, don't open it, no.
This leads to a whole hallway that runs behind the glass walls.
Oh, ew. Oh, that's weird.
Imagine
oh my
taking a
God.
bath with an audience, as if this huge hidden corridor behind the wardrobe wasn't enough. There's yet another trapdoor. This
Open
leads
it.
to some kind of cellar, dungeon-looking room. What the hell is this? Is this just the layout of an old building? Or is this set up as something more sinister? Why have the trapdoor through the wardrobe from the hall and the dungeon? Who needs to be going into that room from the outside? What do you think this is? Is this normal for hotels?
There's either two answers for that. It's maybe like an older building, they've got like secret rooms in case like something happened, or he's about to be trafficked. I don't know, maybe the building beforehand had like a layout and it's like a random room that's just there that was meant to be covered up. But that's just weird, isn't it? If I were him, I'd proper go in and like explore, but then be scared of getting locked in. Me in the comments hiding from the jump scare. I was thinking a proper jump scare is about to happen. It's likely for maintenance, room shape and light. I mean, that is true, but then it's like there was another trapdoor and it kind of like cold and empty. Like, I don't know, something about it's a bit eerie. Another reason could have been because they like renovated the room and like there was a gap that they need to like fill up. But yet again, it's just weird to think that there was like back doors. Like, oh, it's eerie.
Is your door locked? This is like something straight out of a horror film. You've escaped a guy trying to murder you, but now no one will answer the door. Would you have left her outside too? This man was awoken to a notification from his Ring doorbell. A terrified looking girl in nothing but a silk nightdress is at his front door. Is this a case of someone escaping a horrifying situation and begging for help from the nearest police? Or is this an incredibly intelligent plan to get someone to open their door to allow an easy ambush? Watch this next part.
Ooh. Yeah, it could be an ambush. I don't
This
know.
level of fear is Oscar winning if it's not real. This girl looks beyond terrified, and the way she tries to avoid being seen by the passing car. She seems to be trying to hide, like her life depends on it.
Is she maybe intoxicated? I don't know, this is weird. I hate stuff like this, freaks me out. We don't have any more context to that clip. I'm assuming that maybe it was a drunk girl and she got like lost. I don't know. Ugh. Yet again, imagine like you hear someone knocking your door at 3 AM. Like it's her. You probably would go down and let her in, but then it could be an ambush. If she was kidnapped, how is her nails done? I mean, she could have been kidnapped and escaped straight away, or someone could have chased after her. You don't know. I'd let her go in the back garden or something, but I wouldn't let her in my house. That's what I would do. It's like, do you want to know something? You can go and hide in the back garden, I'll call the police. But it's like, don't let people like that in your house. I also have seen clips where people pretended to be lost to get into people's houses. It's just so weird, and it's like nowadays I'm just so paranoid. It's like you don't know if it's a genuine person in need of help or like if it's a setup.
This is why you should never use Snapchat. This story took place in 2015 when a young boy and girl were Snapchatting each other late at night. The boy and girl were just sending Snapchats back to each other, making goofy faces and just having a normal conversation. After a while of them sending Snapchats back and forth to each other, the boy realized there was a silhouette in the young girl's window. The young boy then asked the girl, "Hey, I didn't know you had a brother. Does he go to our school?" She replied to the boy saying, "No, I'm actually a single child. Why do you ask?" The boy still saw the outline of the man and told the girl, "Look behind you now. I think somebody's watching you." Right when the young girl turned around, she saw the man staring at her. The young girl screamed as loud as she could and ran straight to her parents' room. When the parents went into the young girl's room, the window was completely shattered and the only thing left was a note on her bed. The note said, "See, this is what happens when you talk to other boys." The man who did this tragedy was never to be found again.
I won't lie, I've got a feeling that might be fake. It's like one of them urban legends. But yet again, it could have happened. Like, someone literally could have been behind her. It's actually a real fear of mine where, like, you take a photo and you see someone in the background. Like, that is so creepy. How do you know? Were you the man from the window? Oh my god, maybe he is. Talk about a plot twist.
Top 3 creepy last words people said right before dying. A nurse said that one night she was floated to oncology at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room and the patient was on top of the bed. She looked at the nurse and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse was freaked out and she asked her who was going to take her. And the patient said, "That black thing up there," and pointed up in the air. The patient died within minutes.
Oh god, that's really freaky. With situations like that, it is quite interesting because do you think people can see they're about to die? I know in some care homes they have like care home dogs, and sometimes a dog will sit outside of a person's room and then a few days later they'll die. It's kind of like they can smell death. It's so weird. I love most old people, but I could never work with them. I just think it's so creepy how you're around somebody who's in like a care home waiting to basically die. Like, I can deal with that. Imagine literally knowing that people pass there like every month. Oh, that's not for me.
A guy was rushed into a level 1 trauma facility from a motorcycle versus truck collision. The guy's able to talk at the beginning. He was drunk and cussing out the doctors and nurses trying to help him. They end up intubating him to preserve the airway and he's going downhill fast. He codes, but they manage to bring him back. Suddenly, the guy comes completely to, rips out his tube, grabs one of the med student's hands and lets out a breathy-like scream. "Don't let me die. I'm going to hell. Please don't let me die," he said. This freaks out everyone. The guy said he woke up in hell on fire and keeps begging someone to check his feet for burns. Nobody could believe that he pulled out his tube and was talking. Despite everything they did, the guy still died. The doctors and nurses were freaked out about it for weeks.
I mean, yeah, of course, if that literally happened to you, you're telling me you're trying to save someone's life and then they wake up, tell you that they're in hell burning and then they die. That would traumatize you. And on the flip side, he wouldn't have went that if he didn't drink and drive. You know, if he didn't make that decision, he wouldn't be in hell.
Emma said that when she worked in a nursing home, they had a resident that was unpleasant, to say the least. One day, Emma was on bell duty. It was her responsibility to answer all the bells for 2 hours. And the man rang his bell and told her that there was a black dog under his bed. Emma looked under the bed, but there was nothing there. She thought that he could have possibly seen a dog because it was a hot day and the front door to the home was open. She told him that the dog must have gone out the door before she arrived. He rang the bell again a short time later, insisting that he could see a dog under the bed. Again, Emma couldn't see anything. This carried on. He became quite hysterical on one occasion, shouting that the black dog under his bed was trying to bite him and that it had red eyes. He looked terrified, and Emma couldn't calm him down for ages until the dog disappeared. She handed over what happened to the nurse in charge and went home as it was the end of her shift. The next day, she was on afternoon shift and she found out that the man had died not long after she had gone home. It really freaked her out. Emma said that he was a very unpleasant man and she often wondered if the dog was there to take him away to you-know-where.
I mentioned earlier how sometimes care homes do have dogs and they can kind of like sniff death. It's so weird. Like, I swear I've heard stories about dogs sitting outside of people's rooms and then they literally die like a week later. I don't know, maybe he was seeing something that was like the end of him. That story about the man seeing the black dog, it was a hellhound. I don't know what a hellhound is, so I'm gonna look it up right now. Okay, so Google says a hellhound is a mythical hound that embodies a guardian or servant of hell, the devil, or underworld. So basically, I'm assuming that black dog with the red eyes is telling him, yeah, he's gonna go and die and go to hell. I mean, he was an unpleasant old man, so maybe he deserves it.
We need to talk about this photo. This was sent to me by one of my followers, Laura, and when I read this true story about what happened to her, my jaw was on the floor. I've never read a story that actually happened to someone that was this terrifying. So let's get into the story. This photo was taken when I was 1. I had a nanny back in Indonesia and she acted very strange. Everyone felt uneasy around her and felt chills whenever she was around. Her eyes were cold and she was awkward, but at first we didn't think much of it. She was only around for a couple weeks because the next thing that happened blew my mind. One day my mom came home and found our door unlocked, the lights off, and the sound of someone's voice chanting. And on top of that, I was screaming and crying. So my mom got our neighbor and together they barged in the door, only to find me latched onto my nanny and no one could pull me off. They had to perform some kind of exorcism in order to get my arms off of her. And then she started mumbling under her breath saying, "This is impossible, usually they be by now." Later, we found out there was a group of people in a satanic cult that went around nearby towns pretending to be nannies so they can perform sacrifices to the devil and pretend it's an accident. In return, they were promised fame and money. And based on the words this lady mumbled after the ritual, it's clear that this isn't the first time she's performed this sacrifice. I only found this out months ago, but every time I see this photo, I feel chills down my spine. Oh my god.
Oh god, that was weird. If that's like real, that's creepy. I mean, you don't know it's in Indonesia. In some countries, crazy things go on, like witchcraft and Satanism is a real thing. This sounds so made up. I mean, maybe it is made up or maybe it's real. Urban legends come from everywhere. You know, Carmen Winstead. Did everyone remember that? Was anyone else terrified of seeing them photos where you see like a devil girl and it's like, oh my god, I was shoved down a drain. If you don't share my photo, I'm gonna go and kill your family. Was anyone else traumatized by them things as a child?
Story time. When I was around 8 years old, I remember I was sleeping in the bed with my mom. And my mom kept on saying that she kind of felt like there was somebody outside that was probably like looking. At this point, it's around 1 o'clock in the morning. So she gets up out of bed and she turns on the light in the hallway. Comes back to our bedroom window, looks outside. There is a man literally standing outside of the window looking inside. I know this is kind of weird, but today something similar happened to us here. So I'm in the bathroom and the girls are like, oh, let's walk the dog because we were about to go out. So I was like, sure, go outside, walk the dog. And my older one is like, mom, mad sus, but there's a car that like keeps on passing by, like a blue car. And little one at this point is like, oh, I'm gonna go check it out because she's sass and all. The car keeps on passing by more than once. I think it was like 3 times. They come to the window and they start looking outside the window and the car passed by yet another 2 or 3 times.
That's weird.
When I finally come outside, I go outside and the car is nowhere to be found. Car never passed by again. So when we finally get ready that we're like heading out, there is a blue balloon randomly right in front of our door. And it's maybe nothing, but I can't help but think about the case of the balloon man on Tumblr. And if you've ever read the story, let me know.
I'm not sure about the Balloon Man, so I'm gonna look it up now. Okay, so I just looked it up and apparently it's about like some kid who went missing and then like someone charged a ransom for like a balloon. To me it just sounds a bit evil. Don't touch the balloon, call the police just to be safe and file an incident report. The balloon might be coded in something. What she just said is very, very true. I was watching a TikTok a while ago and it actually shocked me. Basically, sometimes kidnappers will do this little trick. They'll put like a string around your car door and obviously whenever you see a string you're gonna like touch it and be like, what is this? Or they'll put like a letter or like a note. Sometimes these people will code that stuff in like a substance that automatically knocks you out. Literally has to touch your finger and you'll be like completely lightheaded within the space of like a minute. It's really, really scary. I don't know if that's got any correlation to your story, but obviously someone kept driving past your house and then you seen a balloon, and obviously if you touch the balloon maybe you get lightheaded and someone like try to kidnap you. I don't know, that's weird.
We need to talk about what happened to Saki. Saki was a girl from Japan who was born with an eye deformity, causing her to have one eye that's much larger than the other. Because of this, she was constantly bullied and often kept her face covered behind her long hair. But eventually, Saki couldn't take the bullying anymore, so she went to the top of an abandoned building with a large rope. Allegedly, as she fell down, the rope yanked on her head, which means even though her body was discovered by authorities, her head was never found. After this, Saki's mother vowed to get revenge for her, beginning with a message she sent to everyone in Saki's school, saying anyone who didn't share her daughter's story was guilty for her death and deserved to be punished. And weirdly, within a few days, multiple students from Saki's school passed away mysteriously, found with their heads torn off of their bodies exactly like Saki. So police arrested Saki's mother, thinking she must be responsible, until another student from Saki's school finally told the truth. In the middle of the night, she woke up to a strange sound. When she looked up, she saw a girl staring at her from her window with one large eye. Realizing this was Saki, the girl immediately sent her story to someone else. And that's how she found out the only way to free yourself from Saki's curse is to pass it on. So send the story to someone else and follow for more.
Apologies guys, I think I might have just cursed you. That right there sounds exactly like the urban legends that kept me up at night whenever I was younger. Carmen Winston one, it was always people who like got bullied and then like tried to take their lives by like falling into a drain, and then they like came back and haunted their victims, and if they didn't share the post then you know like they were gonna die. Bro, did you just pass this to us? I passed this to the comment section. I know she passed it to me and then I passed it on to you, so you're gonna have to pass it on to someone else. Well anyways guys, that's really tough to do there. That's some scary creepy TikTok. If it's gonna be looking more creepy stuff like this, let me know definitely well. Subscribe and see you all tomorrow for another video.